Yeah. All right. And we just have this right here for deck experience. And because we're a volunteer bookstore, I'm going to pass around this donation box. If you can donate, that's great. If you can't, that's also okay. But we're really glad to have you here, and we hope to see you again soon. Although this is metaphorically and literally a full house, gay full house reading tonight. I want to welcome all of our readers. That's Reginald.
Oh, it's usually like this, very busy, a lot of coffee drinkers. Usually, we set up, we move the bookshelves, and people ask us, if they need some help, but usually we don't.
Right. Well, there's a number of LGBT publishers. There is sort of a queer renaissance in LGBT publishing that's happening right now, with small publishers, people publishing interesting projects independently. And one of the challenges of publishing is really how to find an audience and how to reach an audience. And bookstores like Blue Stocking are really crucial for that. That bring people into the community, that create an audience for new LGBT books.
I don't know. We're really, ignorant, if you will, about this whole thing. But
Tonight, I want to welcome all of our readers. That's Reginald Harris, David Bergman, Julie Enzer, David Groff, and Red Washburn. I see that we have one new book, Homestanding Essays on Life, Death, and Celebration, which, in addition to other readers tonight, we have all the books on sale over at the register, and you can get them signed as well. So I'm going to welcome our NC, Julie.
Great. Thank you all. I have a big mouth, so I don't much need this, but thank you all for coming. We're going to start right out. Each of us are going to read for about 10 minutes, and then we'll wrap up, and we have books available, and I'll tell you about the new books from folks. So,
as he leans back in his seat, I can't help but notice his excitement. I rest my hand gently on his Levi's. He spreads his legs further apart. He's willing, oh, more than willing, to spend the night with me at the closest motel as long as I drive him the next morning, no more than a half hour out of his way, to his folks. And when we arrive, it's noon. Dad's pulling the first burgers off the grill. His kid brother's in his baseball uniform, and everyone's so happy I brought him home safe. I think of his ass as they hug him, and the mole on his chest. No, I have to be going. Well, yes, I'll take a piece of rhubarb pie. And all the way to the coast, I can still smell him, fresh and clean, and just so slightly acidic. And the last one, which goes exactly at the same time period, it's called 1968.
sorry.
No, it's very erotic. I have had things like that in my mouth, not just over my head. 1968.
Sexual representation has a really important history in gay literature. Okay, because originally it was banned, right? It was illegal. And work that was honest, either about real sexual experiences of gay people or fantasy sexual experiences of gay people, were forbidden. And people could go to jail, and your life could be ruined. It had very high stakes.
Well, we are at the fabulous Holiday Inn Midtown on 57th Street in Manhattan. It's the Rainbow Book Fair, the annual showcase of GBLT authors and books and literature related to the GBLT community.
As the economy in the United States has changed, the book business has changed a lot. So a lot of book publishers have become conglomerates. So maybe there used to be 50 book publishers, and now maybe there's 10. I mean, this is on the corporate commercial level, because so many were bought up, right? So these are like big machines, and they often don't serve grassroots minority communities. So those communities create their own presses that maybe publish their own authors, And that's really like a community, like everybody knows everybody and everyone's accessible and stuff like that, but it's quite small. Like it doesn't reach a lot of people. And that's what that fair represented.
So it is sort of a small universe.
That's right. But it's an important one because a lot of the communities that it serves don't get books from anybody else. So like for example, I have a ex-student of mine who's now a novelist, and his name is Charles Rice Gonzalez. And he's Puerto Rican, gay man, who was born in the Bronx. Well, he published the very first Puerto Rican gay novel based in New York. And it came from a very small press. But for his community, it's a very important book because nobody else would ever publish this literature. So he can go to that book fair and people who are interested in his community can meet him. And so it's quite important in that regard. But it doesn't reach a broad audience.
I mostly write erotica. My book is backwoods. It's got illustrations. It's about men in a small town. And yeah, it's a Lambda Literary Award finalist. It's mainly meant to turn people on. The story kind of follows a trajectory where people meet and have sex. That's kind of how it goes. I mean, erotica is basically, that's what it means. It means it's about sex. It's meant to be erotic and exciting. Yes. And this book in particular, I mean, it's sort of about the town I grew up in. Just kind of imagining a town like my small town, what the men in it are like, you know. Because in a small town, a lot of people hide their sexuality. Kind of imagining what goes on under the surface when nobody's looking. Married men, you know, there's teachers, there's, you know, straight guys.
Unfortunately, most of our print books are male, but these ones are actually different. This is GLBTQ, this is lesbian, and this is bisexual men. So they vary.
When the gay literature started to be published on a grassroots level, which is like in the 60s and the 70s, you started to see small presses that were publishing this work. It had a lot of erotic content because sexuality is very important in gay identity.
You don't have my bullying book. This is nonfiction.
Oh, okay. So I have almost everything.
You need this one.
You need that one?
Yeah, it's my true life story.
That sounds scary.
Okay. This is an anthology of my life with new stories included. How many years have you gentlemen together?
You have a fan who's into therapy?
Yes. Yeah, my favorite.
But no, a good 50% of it is my book.
You mean your own already?
Can I ask you something real quick?
Me?
Yeah. You were looking at the cards.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Who were you thinking them to buy them for yourself?
Just it. I have no idea. So
You don't know who would like them?
I don't. I like them.
It's only necessary for those people who corporate presses do not serve. So for people whose experiences are not represented in books that are reviewed on television and this kind of thing, it's a necessity, right? Because it's the only time you can have your own literature is in this kind of underground milieu. And that's why it's important. But it has no power. At its best, it's a literature of opposition and resistance. When it's really doing its job, it expands what we know about being alive. It adds new experiences and new kinds of people to American literature. At its worst, it reinforces stereotypes. It's benign. It doesn't matter in people's lives. So it really can go either way.